Passion and leadership impacted millions of lives through her endless efforts with the NASCAR Foundation. Our thoughts and prayers are with the France family and the many lives she touched through the years. Please join us as we take a moment of silence. Please remain standing as Pastor Tim Coker from Central Baptist Church in Darlington, South Carolina, offers today's invocation.
Let us pray. Eternal God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for 7 decades of tradition and several thousand great moments in this place. We ask you to bless our country, our flag, and those who stand for it. We especially give thanks for soldiers, sailors, men and women who put their lives on the line so we can enjoy ours. And now finally, Lord, we ask you to bless the drivers, their teams, and everyone involved with this fantastic day. And as we speak our thanks, help us also to live our thanks for your glory. In our Lord and Savior's name, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome Staff Sergeant Adriana Bradley, Shaw Air Force Base.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
It is one of the fastest races of the year, so everyone will be pushing it, but you can't push it too hard. You don't want to get into the wall.
Round two, going to start building the stage for number 1. And we'll get the stage for number 2. Well, it's just such a cornerstone of our sport. Names were made at Darlington.
Elliott Sadler, 20 years in the sport, his first win at Darlington.
Tyler Redick has won here at Daytona.
David beats Goliath.
Oh, yeah, baby. Woo.
Justin Allgaier is going to come from behind and win at Mid-Ohio.
Awesome.
The following NBC Sports program is brought to you in living color.
NASCAR Xfinity Series Racing from Darlington. The Sport Clips Haircuts VFW 200. Names are made at this racetrack, and they are named and made in this series. And for some of the storylines, let's go trackside to Dave Burns.
Rick, how does a 19-year-old celebrate Throwback Weekend? Well, if you're Austin Cindric, you go back to 15 years before you were born to celebrate Ford's heritage in the first front-engine Mustang GTP car. It looked a lot like this, and it won in its very first time out. That's what Austin hopes to do today in his first race at Darlington. Marty?
Well, Dave, Cup Series star Chase Elliott is paying tribute to a former Cup Series star, Davey Allison, today. But the talk around Chase Elliott is what happened in qualifying. Check out this save. And he did not actually get a timed lap in the first round of qualifying today. Chase told me moments ago, I knew I hurt those rear tires so bad, I didn't even want to make another run. He has fresh new rear tires on, Kelly, but will start 38th.
Well, Ryan Truex told me it is so special to be running this paint scheme, which honors his brother Martin, who's clinched the series championship at this track with this scheme in 2004. Martin, who was here moments ago, told me it feels just like yesterday, Parker.
Kelly, a throwback opportunity for Ross Chastain. The young driver's excelled in underfunded equipment. He now gets the opportunity of a lifetime. Let's go trackside for the command.
And now, race fans, it's time for the most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome our Grand Marshal, National Commander, Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States, Vincent B.J. Lawrence.
Drivers, start your engines.
All right, big man, fine, hold. Fired up when you're ready. Fired up when you're ready.
That always gets the adrenaline going. When the engines fire up, 40 cars coming to life, getting ready for 147 laps here in Darlington. For a Xfinity Series regular to be able to beat Denny Hamlin, you will have to have an awesome performance because he has 5 Xfinity Series wins at this racetrack. And Denny Hamlin getting strapped in, looking for another win. He swept the races here in the Xfinity Series and Cup Series last year, wants to do that again. Look at the starting grid for today's race. Ross Chastain, the big story this weekend, getting an opportunity with Chip Ganassi Racing. He won the pole earlier today. He'll start beside Christopher Bell. Then it's Tyler Redick and Daniel Henrik in row 2. Daniel Henrik with a Walker Evans throwback paint scheme for that number 21. Denny Hamlin, Cole Custer making up row 3. Let's bring in Denny Hamlin. We could chat with him before the green flag flies. DJ.
Hey, Denny Hamlin, Dale Jarrett in the NBC booth. You have a copy?
Here, 10 away. 4, 3, 2, 1, right here, the 18.
Hey, Denny, Dale Jarrett in the NBC booth. You have a copy? Hey, Denny, you got a great paint scheme on that Sport Clips Toyota there today, and know that they're always fast here. But I want to talk about you as the driver. I remember the first time I ever saw you race here, it was like, how many times has this guy been here to test or whatever? You fit right in. What is it about your style that suits so well here at Darlington?
Yeah, I think in general, I'm typically a guy that doesn't drive hard on entry, and I try to get good exits, and this racetrack just really rewards that quite a bit. So, ever since I've been coming here, we've just had good success. It's fit my style, and we've had good results.
Denny, I know that some patches have been put down over as you exit turn 2. Do you anticipate that being an issue, or is there plenty of room to go above or below there?
Yeah, you can move all around it. In qualifying, I kind of ran right over it, seemed fine. So, I'll just continue to run the lines that I like, and I think running right through it will be ideal.
All right, Denny, thanks for talking. Have a great day out there.
All right, thanks, Dale.
And we'll ride along with Denny Hamlin. He carries one of our in-car cameras. It's the Coca-Cola onboard camera, starting in that 5th position. Also has the helmet cam, a good perspective, making their way around this mile and a third racetrack. Then Ryan Truex will also carry an onboard camera. It's the leaf filter onboard. He will start in the 13th position, and that's the side panner. You'll be able to look out passenger side.
I don't want to, Rick. I don't want to be that close to the wall.
You're going to see the wall up close and personal. Austin Cindric also with that right panner and the Ford Performance in-car camera. And Kevin Harvick, who starts in the 7th position, has the Hunt Brothers Pizza camera on board, and that one will go all the way around. You'll be able to look in front and behind Kevin Harvick. Break down the race for us, will you, Steve?
Well, Rick, you mentioned just how quick this race is. This is a short one, probably the shortest Xfinity race of the year, and it has at a very difficult racetrack, 1.366 miles. It's a little over, or 1.366 mile track, a little over 200-mile race. The first and the second stage, both 45 laps, which are sprints. That is not very long, even on a track that eats up tires like Darlington does. That final stage is 57 laps. So interesting enough, the fuel window, 67 to 70 laps. We don't have to worry about that. These cars can easily run every stage without fuel. It's not going to be about fuel, it's going to be about tires, and this is why that Darlington stripe, as these tires wear, the cars get slipping and sliding, DJ, right on the edge of the control, right next to the wall, easy to make contact.
I've got an issue with you guys talking about how short this race is. Look, it's hot inside there. It's going to be 140 degrees, and you're hard at work all around this place.
Wait
so it may be short in length, but it's going to be tough.
Our booth has air conditioning. Rut, Junior, do you guys have air conditioning down there?
Yeah, we don't. It is really uncomfortable down here, and that's just sitting in this pit box. I can't imagine what those guys are going to be feeling inside the car. Hopefully they have taken care of themselves all week and hydrated and done themselves right so they can stay in the seat for this race. It's going to be tough.
I'm really glad you brought sunscreen because it's insane.
I brought 50, and I don't even know if that's going to be enough. But you got me sitting right in the sun. What you talking about? Why are you complaining?
Hey, we're not wearing suits. Got to take the good with the bad, Junior.
Yep.
Hey, I told you guys it was difficult on the pit box all these years. Y'all didn't believe me.
Yep.
Well, it's even harder to be strapped into one of these race cars when the temperatures will get above 120, maybe even 125 degrees inside these cars while they're racing.
I think DJ's point is accurate. While it is a quick race from distance and time, it does not make it any less tough. It is going to be physically demanding on the driver. And seriously, though, I pick on the crew chiefs, but sitting in that heat, it's sometimes more difficult. You have to ask yourself, what adjustments am I going to make? How often do I bother my driver? I know he's working hard out there. It's more difficult for him to be talking to me on the radio, breaking down what he needs. So these guys are going to have to be patient and pick and choose their moments.
So with it not being a very long race, you only get a couple of times on pit road, so you've got to make the right adjustments. You need that information.
Already, DJ, we see a little plan here. The 42, the pole sitter, Ross Chastain. He's going to start on the outside. That's definitely the preferred lane through 1 and 2, really the only lane through 1 and 2. I hear there's a few options down here in 3 and 4, but I think this is probably a wise choice.
I would say so. Yeah, it used to be you never wanted to be there, but this racetrack is widened out on the entry to that turn 1, and that certainly helps.
Brandon Jones in the 19 has to start all the way in the back because of failing pre-qualifying inspection 4 times, and so he will also have to make a quick stop once the green flag comes out, a pass-through penalty. That's another one of the penalties in the rule book that he will have to deal with as this race gets underway. 2 by 2, they come out of turn 4, and again, Ross Chastain for the first time brings the field to the green flag. That preferred line working out for Chastain as he exits turn 2. And he's going to bring along with him Daniel Henrik. Henrik in the 21 able to make the pass and move by Christopher Bell. Now we see those different lines in 3 and 4. Different options for these drivers.
Yeah, you can fan out once you get there and do it, especially as the tires, the air pressures are still low. As you get these tires worn, your option is going to be still back up against the wall. What a great job by Ross Chastain to get this thing started. You know, he hasn't won a pole, so he didn't know exactly what that was like, especially at a tough place like this.
And already moving for positions now, trying to take back that second spot is Christopher Bell in the 20.
It's going to be interesting to see if he can complete the pass on the bottom. It looks like he will. The 21 of Henrik almost, I won't say let him go, but we're going to see that. A lot of give and take. Right here you see side by side. The 9 of Tyler Redick decides to get back in line. That's kind of it, the compromise. You have to race the racetrack.
And caution already, the 60 of Austin Cindric stopped right on the front stretch.
Oh, heavy contact.
Yeah, Spencer Boyd in the 76 avoiding him actually caught the inside wall.
You hear the frustration, you see the frustration, pounding on the steering wheel, screaming on the radio. 2 laps complete of a 147 lap race in the 60. Heavily damaged. I'm assuming he'll be out of the race. And remember, guys, we talk about the playoffs. He's just above the cut line at 67 points. That seems like a lot until you score basically 0. He should get about 1 point for today's effort.
Hey, Steve, he was so disappointed going into many races this year because they had such bad luck. Good runs with the 60 up until race time when things went wrong. This is his last ride in the 6-0 car. He'll be racing the 98, the 22, but this Ford, the last time he'll be in it, and that's why the frustration. They talked about on the radio before the race, so many downs this year. Let's end on an up. And now this.
Yeah. And why is he so frustrated and disappointed as he climbs out of that car? Take a look. This is Ryan Truex we're riding along with, and Ryan Truex gets into the back of him.
Yeah, just misjudgment there by the driver. You know, it certainly wasn't anything intentional in that situation, but that doesn't help Austin Cindric at all.
We're going to ride on board with the 60. You see clear out front. Has no idea it's coming. It's turned around off turn 4. Pretty solid contact, and now you see why he's so disappointed.
Go low.
He didn't do anything wrong. That's what's the disappointing part, is you've done nothing wrong. You know, you got yourself single file and think that you're in a good position there. And yeah, and again, Ryan Truex wasn't trying to do anything there, except he just misjudged. And you know, you're looking out at the front of a car, and when you misjudge by only 3 or 4 inches, unfortunately, it creates a situation like this at times.
So the frustration definitely on the mind of Austin Cindric, and I'm sure Ryan Truex feels terrible that he just took out one of the competitors that wanted to have a good day here at Darlington, and it's not going to end that way. We were talking about the heat the intensity is at an all-time high the second the green flag comes out, because these guys have to be precise on every single turn, and we just saw what happens if you're not perfectly precise. You can end someone's day. You can end your own day as well.
Well, and we're going to continue talking about 41 to go in this stage. Is already under 45 to go. I mean, that's how many it was when it started. These drivers know that. There's very little give and take. But Ryan Truex there, I think, misjudged it. As you said, the 60 really had nothing to do
with it.
with
And even sometimes at this place, coming out of 4, your car's already going towards the wall. So it's not like Ryan Truex could cut left there. If he does that, he's probably going to spin his car out.
Caution comes out early at Darlington. And it's Austin Cindric who is already out of the car. The frustration at an all-time high. You get NASCAR coverage when you're on the go with NASCAR Mobile. It's the official app of NASCAR. It puts that race coverage right in your fingertips. You can search NASCAR in the App Store or visit NASCAR.com/mobile for the NASCAR mobile app. And a unique shaped racetrack. The reason being is there's a minnow pond right here. It is narrower in turns 3 and 4, a little more banking down there. A little wider sweeper turn in turns 1 and 2. And the reason being is when they were building it, the guy who owned the minnow pond said, I don't want you to mess up my minnow pond down there. You make sure that this racetrack you're going to build, and this was back in 1950, make sure you don't mess up that minnow pond we have down there. So that's why you see a little bit of a unique racetrack here.
Well, their safety created a lot of headaches for race drivers, I can tell them that.
Let's head back into the pits and Parker.
Well, guys, we saw such a great start by Ross Chastain there on the initial start, but now he has a tall order in front of him because remember, even doing just one lap there under green, those tires will have wore a ton. They got heat in them. Now they're going to pick up all that sand and debris, so he's got to do everything he did that last restart but now everything's just going to be that much harder on this restart, so it should be a tough one for him. We'll see how he does, Marty.
So, Parker, that was 2 green flag laps, and Chase Elliott went from 38th to 22nd, plus 16 for the guy in the 23 car so far today. And then he told the crew, I don't think we got the air pressures right when we set them before the race, so there's even more inside that 23 car, but an impressive rally in just 2 green flag laps. I would suggest, fellas, I want to keep your eye on that 23. It's going to be fun to watch him come to the front this afternoon.
Well, he's got to get by quite a few cars in front of him, which that is the entertaining part, is seeing how he does it, how he's able to do it, where he does it.
And as you go forward, they get more difficult.
Yes.
Yeah, and your tires are worn more. So, yeah, that's not going to be hard at all.
That's the entertaining part.
Yeah, exactly.
Us as fans to be able to enjoy that as they continue to clean up the front stretch. Again, Austin Cindric bouncing off the inside wall, then sliding back out into the middle of the racetrack. Spencer Boyd in the 76, avoiding him, actually got into the inside wall.
You see those playoff points, Rick. We mentioned the 60 of Cindric, just barely in. He's the last spot of the playoffs. They take 12 cars. He's 55 points above Michael Annett, who's currently 13th. It'll be interesting to see if Annett can capitalize. He's currently running 15th. If that 5 car could work his way up inside the top 10 and get those points at the end of each stage, that would really, really help. He came in here at 76 points ahead. So he's already, you see how many he's projected to lose, but it's hard to make projections when you've only run 8 laps. A lot could still happen here.
There's still 2 more races after this one before the playoffs start for the Xfinity Series as well. So that's opportunities for Michael Annett. Junior, Rutt?
Yeah, Rick, I'm just sitting here wondering, watching with Junior here at the Peacock Pit Box, how many times do you think Ross Chastain has started a race on the front row like this?
I mean, in his career, probably several times. Maybe not in the Xfinity Series, but through his life and his racing career, I'm sure he's had a lot of opportunities to start up front.
Can he feel that pressure, though, of being in this car, having that opportunity?
I doubt it. I think he's very confident in himself, or he wouldn't be trying to achieve what he's trying to achieve this year, running as well as he has in underfunded equipment. He has a lot of confidence in his ability, and he thinks this is his real opportunity to showcase it.
Rick, we saw he got a great restart, great start of the race, so hopefully he can really keep nailing those restarts, keep pulling out in front.
There's a lot of pressure, though, that goes with it. Dave?
With Austin Cindric now, I guess my first thought is, can you believe it?
No, I could almost cry because this team has worked so hard and just to be not able to experience this race and my last race with this team, it really bothers me. So I thank everyone at Ford Olive Fans for performance. I'm just really frustrated.
How concerned are you with 2 races before the playoffs, Austin, to what this does to the picture?
I haven't thought that far ahead. Just hate it for that team. Hate it for the 60 guys. Just, I knew I was going to get teary because they worked so hard, and it's just really tough. It's been a tough year, but keep pushing. Got to keep fighting and be a good playoff for them and keep going.
Keep fighting. Rick?
That shows you just how big of a race this is.
Yeah.
I mean, for a young man like that to be so emotional that he's not able to compete against these guys, and he knew he could.
Yeah, and he comes back next year with no experience still of what this racetrack is like in race conditions.
They're 2x2 once again, and it's Ross Chastain on the outside, Christopher Bell, just like the start of the race, but now this will be lap 9 being completed, and green flag. Back up through the gears, Ross Chastain, Christopher Bell, side by side going into 1 again.
Christopher Bell is not going to give up the position this time. He's going to race side by side into 1 and 2. They're going to have to work this out, DJ.
Yeah, there's 2 young drivers I'm not sure understand exactly that you can't do that, but they just made it work somehow.
Daniel Henrik just behind them in the 3rd spot.
Now, I felt like that this coming into this weekend, something that I looked at for Christopher Bell, who's had an outstanding year. Rookie, had been leading the point standings for a lot of it, but has those 4 wins. But how he gets around here today and does the right things is going to give me a little bit of insight as what to expect if he is one of those 4 drivers at Homestead. Not exactly the same type racing, but the tires wear out quickly. You race right up against the wall.
So explain this to me. At most racetracks, the preferred line is down at the bottom, right along the apron, right along that white line, or here maybe a white dotted line. Why do these drivers choose to run right up against the wall when the shorter distance around this racetrack would be at the bottom.
A lot of it is the turning radius that you have to have, just how unique the corners are. You talked about 3 and 4 down there being a narrower end, and so you have to really put a lot of wheel in. If you did that around the bottom, then you just got more wheel in, and you're abusing the front tires in trying to make that happen. On the other end, that's such a tight radius down there that if you try to run around the bottom, you're never going to make the exit of turn 2 more than about 3 laps because it's about getting that exit. That, to me, is the most important corner that there is that they're going through right now. How much speed, when you get back to the throttle in the middle of 1 and 2, you got to stay in the throttle as much as you can and carry that speed on the exit of that corner, but you can't do it from around the bottom side.
Well, DJ, you mentioned Christopher Bell, and you were going to watch him. It's this car right here. I'm going to watch that black and white number 7 of Justin Allgaier. Christopher Bell's had an outstanding year, but as of late, the last couple weeks, Justin Allgaier on the road courses has really kind of inserted himself. He has also had a career-type year with career numbers. I really think him and Bell are asserting themselves as the 2 championship favorites, even though it's a long ways to go. So much like you mentioned with Bell, I want to see how the 7 adapts at a racetrack that Jason Burdett tells me is not their best. So can they come and just have a solid weekend?
Won 2 of the last 3 races here in 2018. Coming in to this season, Justin Allgaier had 5 career wins, and already this year he has 4 just this year. So it has been, as you mentioned, a career year already for Justin Allgaier, although he has not won a championship in the Xfinity Series, and right now trying to exert himself as the leader for that championship.
We talked about, and especially in our meeting, and we pointed out just what a great opportunity this is for these Xfinity drivers to come here and race against the Cup drivers, really measure themselves on maybe the most difficult racetrack that they race on. And right now, you've got the top 6 are all Xfinity drivers doing a great job.
Well, as we talk about Justin Allgaier, he's trying to work on the 21 of Henrik right here. Well, take a look. I mean, this is head-to-head right here. Justin Allgaier, Christopher Bell, the last 11 races, each have 3 wins. They're both racking up top 5s, top 10s. Look at the laps led, both over 240 laps led. Average finish, really, really solid. So there's no guarantees in sports, and definitely no guarantees in the playoffs. But heading into the playoffs currently, these 2 definitely look like the standouts. But it's a long ways to go in the season, long ways to go in this race. 30 to go in this stage. We'll see how they can continue to run.
And Steve, it's amazing when you looked at those stats a moment ago, how close those 2 guys are to each other. It's fun to watch them duke it out as the season goes along. I was talking with Justin Allgaier yesterday, and he said a very interesting point. He said, I'm a little concerned, not overly concerned, that we might be peaking too soon here on the 17. When our focus is keeping this momentum to finish out the regular season and carry that into the playoff stage.
Marty, there aren't a lot of opportunities for drivers to test, but rookies do get a certain number of tests each year. They had one here at Darlington for Christopher Bell. His crew team told me this morning they gave me 9 sets of tires, and I told Christopher I want to use all 9 sets. So after 6 sets, Christopher came back and said, hey, can I run a little closer to the wall now? He said, all right, go ahead. It wasn't until the final set that Christopher Bell finally got a Darlington stripe, learning how to race here, and you guys know that's how you get faster. Touch that wall just a little bit.
And so Ross Chastain just in front of Bell as the 2 continue to battle for that lead. Career laps led. Look at that, Ross Chastain. 18 today. He's been out front since the drop of the green flag, and that's a career number of laps led, but Christopher Bell challenging him on the inside.
Yeah, but last lap, Ross Chastain tried to roll around the bottom, lost a lot of time on the exit of turn 4. But once you get this many laps on your tires, it's really difficult to make that roll around 3 and 4 around the bottom as much as you can. I was really wanting to see what Ross might do. I know he can drive this car. He can lead laps. What's he going to do once he started lapping cars? Was he going to lose time to second place? But he's really done a good job. But right there, he went back to the top and is holding Bell off.
And DJ actually talking to Ross before this race, he said this is what he was most worried about. He knew he had speed on the 1 lap there, obviously getting the pole, but on the long run, he was really worried about keeping that speed inside this car, and his team has kind of been talking through it, and actually they noticed, as you did, that Christopher Bell was using that outside lane in 3 and 4, so the next lap, he went up and took that line away. Pretty good move by Ross.
Here you go. Darlington at its finest, Rick. Lap time's one thing, passing's another. The 20 of Christopher Bell is definitely faster than Ross Chastain, but he's trying to figure out how to pass. This is his first ever race here. So they came and tested, as you heard what Dave said, but that's by yourself. That's
right.
Figuring out the racetrack. Now you have to find a way around a competitor.
Yeah, and look coming to join them. There's Tyler Redick not far behind, too. So talking about guys that don't have and Ross Chastain to that whole group has more experience here, but maybe not in a front-running car.
We continue to hear the phrase searching for grip around a racetrack. Well, when the tires start to go away, you're searching everywhere for any little bit of grip. And that's what right now race leader Ross Chastain is doing. How can you stay out front? We go NASCAR nonstop. And we're hearing rumors. Nick Foles.
Yeah.
He's starting.
That would be huge.
Yes.
I can make no comments about the Eagles. Still a little hurt.
Wow, look
Super
at that.
Bowl.
Christopher Bell coming out of turn 4 sideways and able to straighten it back out. But that's how on the edge you have to be at this racetrack.
Well, the problem is that's tire life. When you slide a tire like that, DJ, I mean, the tires are being abused just because of the old wore-out asphalt. When you slide them across, it's just like cheese across a cheese grater. You're just taking more rubber off the tire.
Yeah, you get mad at yourself quickly when you do that. You know, you think that you're okay, and then all of a sudden that back steps out, and you know what's going to happen for the next 3 or 4 laps. You just kind of got to back off, let them cool what they can.
Those of us from the Midwest and you from the Northeast, when you drive on ice, is that what it's, I mean, is it like that? Is it similar to maybe driving on snow where you get to be so almost just tiptoeing around this at 150 miles an hour? But
yeah, in a way, because basically when you're on ice, you don't have a feel of your car.
Right.
So it's hard to tell how fast can I go, how quickly can I stop. And we can see right here how hung out this is. I mean, that's a good save. We've seen a few up in this series, but he did a good job of that. But yes, the car becomes kind of numb to you in feeling that. So to make sure that you're still under control, you almost have to slow down, back things up. And I think that's what Denny Hamlin was talking about, how good he is. This is what I want to see. What is Ross Chastain going to do in these type situations?
He got boxed in, and
he's going to increase his lead.
Yeah. Well, Mike Harmon in the 74, that's a tough situation, too. Yeah. When you're getting lapped, where do you run?
Yeah.
Where do you try to stay out of the way?
That's what we talk about how tough it is. When you don't have a good car, this is harder than tough because there's nowhere to go to get out of the way. And they're coming a lot of times, as Ross Chastain was at a much, much higher rate of speed.
Well, we'll take a look at it right here. You see Ross Chastain in the 42. He catches 2 cars, and they're in 2 different lanes. The 74 doesn't move up the racetrack, so the 42, I'm going to say that's officially off the racetrack right there. I mean, he is down on the flat. That's there basically to blend off from pit road. That's not meant to be raced on.
Yeah, most people come here and they say, well, what's the big deal? Look at all the asphalt around this place. Well, yeah, that it's not usable at speed.
And we saw that the groove is about a Parker width wide.
Parker
that's
width,
right.
yes.
Parker saw the groove was, so that's not a lot. And I think Parker said he was 5'9". That might be a stretch.
Oh, really? Well, you know what? All right, 5'8 and a half. All right, I'll admit. Hey, guys, we were just talking about tire wear. You know, something that's on my mind is talking about how we actually save tires as a driver, and you can see myself right there.
With your hand up there, 5'9".
Oh, yeah, no, that's taller. That's 6 feet with my hand up there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my measurement. But, hey, that's the groove we're working with here. And, guys, DJ, especially, I want to talk to you about this because I've talked to a lot of drivers and asked them, how do you like to save tires around this place? And guys said a lot of times, you know, it's basically doing less in the car. It's using less brake, not putting as much heat in the front tires. It's letting the car coast more. You're not on either pedal. It's using less throttle on the exit. You do less inside the car to go faster later in the run, and that's how some of these guys like to make that tire last.
Yeah, and I always found that arcing into these corners where you normally want to on tracks over a mile and even short tracks where you really want to arc in, you drive the car as straight as you can for as long as you can, then make a turn with it at that point and try to drive it as straight on the exit of the corner where you're trying not to slip any of the tires any more than you have to.
That's the goal right now. Ross Chastain in the 42 out front. He has led every lap. 34 already in the books. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. And by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. Laps winding down in stage 1. Under 6 laps to go, and Ross Chastain is going to have some competition. Might not be from Christopher Bell. It might be from Kevin Harvick, who's moved up to 3rd. Let's get through the field with a few of these cars up front. We'll start with Parker.
And Rick Ross has led every lap of this race, and he might not have a throwback paint scheme on that car, but this is a throwback opportunity. Here's a young driver who's excelled in under-funder equipment for years, and now he gets a big break. He wins the pole, he's leading laps. Maybe he can turn this Cinderella story into a win later today. What a great story that'd be. What a throwback story, Dave.
Christopher Bell runs second, and he describes the track as slimy. He also wants to know what lines Kevin Harvick is running. That's because Harvick has now moved into 3rd in the 98 car. Harvick's so good here, even though he hasn't won in the Xfinity Series. His team knows that if anyone can search a line at Darlington and find the speed, it's Kevin Harvick. As for 4th place running Tyler Redick, concentrating. Not a word from driver number 9. He's focused on Darlington, Marty.
Dave, lately everything is going right for Justin Allgaier until today. He said his car is just not good right now, way too tight. Also losing rear grip the longer he runs. He's in 5th right now. Daniel Henrik told me, I approached this racetrack like Myrtle Beach, which is close to Darlington. I thought I could pace myself early in runs last year. You can't do that at Darlington. I learned that right now. He's in 6th, Kelly.
Well, this just hasn't been one of Brad Keselowski's better tracks. In fact, he's never led a lap here at Darlington in the Xfinity Series. It's always been kind of hit or miss. His crew chief, Brian Wilson, told me it's true on the Cup side as well. Struggling to give him the feel that he needs. Right now, he's just been really tight at the 2/3 mark, both ends of the track, Parker.
Kelly, Elliott Sadler won here in 2016. His team told me he's so good on the long run, so good at conserving tires, but not this one. He has no grip right now and no rear grip whatsoever, Marty.
Parker, hard to beat Denny Hamlin's numbers here at Darlington. He has an incredible run of 8 straight races where he has either won the Xfinity Series race or finished 2nd. Not the performance they expected today so far, though, with a car that is extremely loose. And Chase Elliott, we talked about that, started 38th today, has finally made his way into the top 10. Getting his way through the field, though, he said, I have shot these front tires. Steve, I'm sure you can relate. You know how quickly these tires fall off here at Darlington.
Oh, 1 lap. It only takes a lap, and the tires easily lose grip, but we only have 1 lap left, Rick.
1 lap to go for Ross Chastain, trying to capture his first stage win, his first playoff point. So many firsts for Ross Chastain, and there's so much pressure on his shoulders. He knew going in, getting this opportunity to run for Chip Ganassi Racing was going to be an opportunity that he had to capitalize on. Well, stage 1 has been a huge success. He's the only one who's been up front, and he'll win stage 1. Christopher Bell holds on for 2nd. Kevin Harvick was 3rd. Tyler Redick 4th. Justin Allgaier rounding out the top 5. Xfinity-only drivers will get the points in the top 10 when they finish up there in the top 10 for stage points. Big points for Ross Chastain, 10. In the town of Darlington, South Carolina, 70 years ago, what used to be a peanut farm has now become one of the most iconic, historic racetracks in all of NASCAR. And stage 1 in the Xfinity Series goes to Ross Chastain. He'll lead the field onto pit road. Let's go down there today.
Kevin Harvick made steady progress in the late stages of that stage. Coming up to third, he'll get a water refreshment, air pressure adjustment for a car that's a little bit free. As for Christopher Bell running second, he said the car coming down the hill is a little bit tight. Going up the hill, it's a little bit loose. They'll make some adjustments and give the driver a pack of ice, Parker.
Ross led every single lap of this race. He got his first stage win. He was complaining about the exit of the fourth corner and the right rear specifically just being a little too loose right now. They're going to do 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel and an air pressure adjustment on that 42. And he also talked a little bit about how he needs to do things differently inside that car. He needs to actually trust that the car has the grip on the exit of the corner sometimes. We'll see if this team can win the race off pit road. It looks like they will beat the other cars.
Very close. Kevin Harvick makes up some ground on pit road, and
all the way, all clear, all the way.
And Chastain able to stay in front of Harvick, though. You see Daniel Henrik made up 3 spots on pit road. That's huge, as difficult as it is to pass on the racetrack. That's how close it was. Just a mere feet between Chastain and Harvick. Let's dial him up on the radio, the winner of stage 1.
Hey, Ross, Dale Jarrett, the NBC. Got a copy?
He's got his hand up.
Good job getting back down to pit road.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, I was fucking playing with my water bottle and all good. Left the gap, but not too bad. Well, didn't kill us too bad.
Nah, it's all good.
So they were chatting a little bit there. We don't want to interrupt that. This not good for Denny Hamlin. Removing equipment from the pit box, Steve.
Yeah, it's not very good at all. He was already having a rough day all the way back to 9th. And see, there was a miscommunication that you would assume since the wrench is in the right side. Someone obviously forgot it was over there. Now they're going to get that one out, make an adjustment on the left side.
And a quick cleaning of the windshield. We'll be back for the restart. You're watching Xfinity Series Racing from Darlington, the Sports Clips Haircuts VFW 200. Stage 1 is complete, And it was dominated by the 42 of Ross Chastain, making his first start for Chip Ganassi Racing after being in the Xfinity Series and driving so many times for different owners. And we want to now go and take a look at the Toyota Camry on-track car, which is in Victory Lane, where Ross Chastain wants to end up. Rut.
Yeah, Rick, I can't help but notice when you look at this car, you know, with this new composite body, I really wonder, Steve, does that same idea of the Darlington stripe still apply to these cars on the quarter panel in the way that we've seen it before? How is it different with this new composite body?
Yeah, Rod, that's a great point. We looked at these cars. This is footage of cars that hit the wall during practice, and it just seems like between the body and the foam that's underneath the body, that impact foam that NASCAR forces you to run, that it just holds its shape so much better. Because normally you can hit the wall a few times until the sheet metal got pushed in on a tire, or you went far enough that the right rear spoiler caught the wall. That's when you really saw damage. But as long as that quarter panel, like right there where you see that white Toyota emblem, it seems to just hold its form, DJ, gives the driver a little more to lean on.
Why didn't they have something like that when I was driving? That could have saved a lot of issues.
I believe this is that technology
thing
we talked about earlier.
Well, technology when DJ was driving was a 4x4 hose clamp to the right side door bar.
That's true. And it caught on fire, at least you thought it did.
Got to smoking in there. It sure did, yeah.
Yeah, the innovations that have come from the technology and the learning that takes place in this sport.
Well, Rick, you mentioned it. The 42 of Chastain led every lap of the first stage, came down pit road, and pit crew backed him up, kept the lead, so now he just has to be smooth on this restart.
He's got a pretty good veteran on the inside, though, in Kevin Harvick. So we'll see if that ramps up the intensity even more as he gets ready to come back to the green flag here for the start of Stage 2. Harvick getting a little help from Daniel Henrik, maybe pushing him up there, and he takes the lead away. Will Ross Chastain be able to battle back? Down the backstretch they go.
Yeah, this is where Ross is really going to have to be patient. First time that he hasn't been out setting the pace right here right now. He's smart. He'll just follow in these tire tracks for a while because Harvick's going to save his tires. He's not going to go run the tires off of it. So if Ross will just keep pace there, he's got as good a car, I believe.
When you talk about better equipment, that better equipment that Ross Chastain is driving will allow him to stay closer to Kevin Harvick. Maybe learn a little bit from the veteran here at Darlington as we see Daniel Henrik move inside the 20 of Christopher Bell.
Trying to take that third spot back. Bell got it. He on the outside and again sideways. Gets into the 21. There's contact. We've seen Christopher Bell get loose out of 4. And now you see the smoke. There was that contact with the left front tire.
Oh, they're going to have to pit, I think. That's too much smoke for the left front of the 20. You mentioned it. You wanted to see at the beginning of the show his other cars avoid the 20. You wanted to see how he managed this racetrack, DJ. Well, that's twice we've seen a big correction, and this time just not room to save it.
No, and he's got himself in the wrong spot to get to pit road here now.
Now, bottom.
The left front is down on the 20. It is completely down. I could see that it was flat. So now it's coming to you, Dave.
That's not the only clearance defender.
Guys, they originally tried to get him to run the high line to block the cars coming around him, but Christopher Bell knew that he had that left front tire going down, so they'll change left sides only here. You heard that over the radio. Repair that left front so that it doesn't cut this left front tire down.
It's a double whammy here at Darlington because not only is he going to lose a lap, but he's going to lose those fresh left side tires. Tires are so valuable, now he's given up 2 to the entire field.
And he will slowly come off of pit road. So a long run to get back onto the racetrack as third place heating up. Justin Allgaier has that spot, and here comes Brad Keselowski. We mentioned that Harvick and Keselowski have never won an Xfinity Series at Darlington.
I had to check it, Rick. You said it, and I said, I don't think Rick knows what he's talking about. I had to double check the paperwork, but you're absolutely right. I was shocked to hear it, and we talk about those points. Well, how about the playoff points situation? Christopher Bell has that lead over the 7 of Justin Allgaier by 5 playoff points. Think about this. If that 7 can somehow go up there, find a few more positions, wins the race, he'll close that gap.
Yeah, and the regular season points are, that's offering 15 versus finishing second, which is 10. So, it's going to put Justin Allgaier kind of in the the driver's seat of this, because Elliott Sadler had a penalty during that last when they were on pit road for an uncontrolled tire, so he had to be back. So Justin Allgaier sitting in a really good spot up there in third right now. Just take care of this car and come out of here with a good solid day.
Sitting in a good spot, but in his mirror he sees this 22 getting bigger and bigger, and Brad Keselowski just behind him trying to steal that spot away.
A lot of times here, because you know where you have to run, you're not as concerned about that car in your mirror. Now, if you're racing towards the end and things you want, if he's coming from a half a straightaway back, you might want to see where that is that he's gaining a little bit. But he's really not concerned about him going down there right now. If he makes his exit, the 22 car can't pass him off that corner.
Such a tough racetrack, and for some reason, you guys as drivers always say you love coming here because of the fact that it's so tough and there's so much driver input. Marty.
It's the challenge of the racetrack that they love as Brad Keselowski looks inside Justin Allgaier to get that spot, and I believe going into one, he's going to get that position. Justin told his team, thanks for the changes. It put him back a little bit, but he said he was so tight on that first run that he couldn't get the car to turn at all right there, and he might lose another position here. But they're having trouble with communication on the team. He cannot hear his crew chief, Jason Burdett, at all, so they're having to relay through their spotter, Eddie DeHaan, but communication always key and always important here at Darlington.
You have to wonder if he's still fighting a tight issue, because the last 2 laps he's gone to the inside in 3 and 4, whereas the lap before that he took the high line and kept the 22 car behind him. So this might just be something that Justin right now feels like it is best for him just to sit and ride for a while.
Well, Kevin Harvick, he's not going to ride. He's out front and showing how hungry he is to get a win in the Xfinity Series here at Darlington. 0.2 of a second, now almost 0.3 of a second gap between Kevin Harvick and Ross Chastain running in the second spot. Brad Keselowski, Tyler Redick, Justin Allgaier, all in the top 5. Henrik, Custer, Elliott, Tift, and Reed rounding out the top 10. Kevin Harvick looking for that first win here. under caution at Darlington, and want to remind you, you can bring the whole family to a NASCAR race. It's never been cheaper or easier. Kids 12 and under are free for every Xfinity Series and Camping World Truck Series race. And then there's, of course, discounted tickets for the Monster Energy Cup Series. Just go to NASCAR.com/kids tickets as we see more work being done to Christopher Bell's number 20. And they're working.
He did more damage.
Yeah, they're working on the right side and they're working on the left side. But
Shut it off, shut it off.
there you hear him shut it off. And let's go to pit road and Marty.
Well, the other player in that mix was Daniel Henrik, and they actually debated for a long time about coming to pit road. You see that damage on the right rear of that 21 car? That was their concern. Daniel said it feels like all of the rear skew and the rear toe in the back of the car is now knocked out. So they're going to put on 4 fresh Goodyear tires here, and his car is extremely tight. They're going to pull 2 spring rubbers from the left rear tire here, obviously taking their time to make sure they do this right, since they and Christopher Bell are the only teams here on pit road under this caution.
And what Marty's mentioning there, skew and toe and these fancy terms, basically these cars don't run perfectly straight. They actually kind of go down the straightaway with the back of the car to the right. You want that right side to actually see the air. It pushes down on the car. It's like a cane. It helps it. It gives you something to lean on. Well, that damage obviously has bent something where now it's tracking the opposite way, kills aerodynamics. The composite body is fine, and it's in pretty good shape, but it sounds like the suspension underneath that composite body has some damage.
You see a little bit of the damage to the 21. It was because of this right here. That contact has really ruined Christopher Bell's day as well. He has been on pit road a couple times with left front tires going down. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Credit One Bank. Credit card perfect for everyday purchases. And by Ford, going further so you can. Oh, what a beautiful Darlington Hall of Fame. The biggest names in the sport right there. And let's head down to the Peacock pit box and check in with Rutt and Junior.
What have you seen so far?
You know, it's been a pretty uneventful race for the most part. It was tough for Christopher Bell, but the guys are coming back to the green here. A lot of these guys, I mean, nobody's got tires except for the 21. I'm going to watch the 21 drive through the field on the tires as he came down pit road to make some adjustments. But everybody restarting on old tires, that's going to be pretty chaotic through 1 and 2, trying to settle in, not lose any track position if you can at all possible prevent that. You're going to want to work hard and try to, you know, maintain your spot or take advantage of guys who are having trouble on this restart.
Daniel Henrik's hopefully got enough fuel in there. Looked like they were having a little trouble getting that car fully fueled there on this pit stop, but it's going to be fun to watch. We got a great seat for it, Junior.
That's right. Hopefully they can get the throttle down. Not spin the tires here. Green's out. Chastain with a pretty decent restart here.
And how about that? Chastain takes the lead away from Kevin Harvick.
It's twice now we've seen the bottom lane work. I don't think Kevin Harvick's going to like this. He's going to try to fight back.
Yeah, Ross Chastain did a great job, but he had a little help from Brad Keselowski, too, in pushing him.
And now Harvick on the inside. Chastain, that preferred line, though, keeping the momentum up as he comes out of turn 4 and hangs on to the lead again. That push has been critical.
Yeah.
We saw Daniel Henrik give guys a push when he was up front, letting that inside line get a little better start. And this time it was Brad Keselowski that was able to give the shove to Ross Chastain and get him out front.
I can't say enough about the job Ross Chastain is doing here. You know, you talk about every driver wants to be put in that situation to where I can showcase my talent. Yeah, it's a lot. That's easy to say, but put yourself in that position at one of the most difficult places on the circuit in this racetrack and then go get the job done. And Ross Chastain's done everything just right to this point.
Well, in my mind, this only confuses the age-old question. We've been getting it for decades. Is it the car? Is it the driver? I think it just proves it's both. You have to have a good car and you have to have a good driver. You cannot succeed being lacking in either department.
No, but the good thing is, I talk about the difficulty of this track. If you want to showcase your talents, you come here and get the job done. Everybody takes notice.
And DJ, to add on to that, think about this. You know, for a while here in the last few years, we have not seen team owners take a chance on young drivers who are excelling in under-front equipment. It's kind of like they're an afterthought. So Ross right now is leading the charge for all those young drivers who are trying to take any opportunity out there to say, hey, look what we can do if we get the opportunity.
Putting this into perspective, think about in college football when Appalachian State beat Michigan in college football. At the time, it was like, there's no way. This is not possible. That's the situation that Ross Chastain is in right now. Ross Chastain is App State. He's saying, I could beat these guys. I've got 2 Cup Series champions behind me. I'm in great equipment. I'm running up front.
Well, Ross Chastain was the quarterback at App State. He just got transferred to Florida. That's basically what happened. He said, hey, I know you're pretty skilled, and your line does a good job, but these guys are bigger and stronger. They're going to protect you, and that's the equipment he's sitting in. We've seen this 42 car run well with John Hunter Nemechek. We've seen it run well with Kyle Larson, and what he's doing is being noticed not just by us, but by everybody. We're talking Hall of Famers, not just the one standing next to me, but Mark Martin. He chimed in on Twitter and said, listen, what a great thing it is to watch Ross Chastain go out and do his stuff. You look right there. Congrats on winning the pole for the first time. He sat in a top-tier car. That really says it all.
And this is coming from Mark Martin, who I think has won 100 races here.
Yeah. Every time he came here.
Yeah.
Oh, that 60-win Dixie car. Oh.
No, well, he was the first one on the track, and he put up that number so you never could win practice. Then he'd go qualify on the pole, and then he'd just wear your butt out in the race.
Now, that's a throwback I wouldn't dare show up with.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's no way
pressure.
down from there.
What pressure you would have on you if you showed up with a Mark Martin paint scheme. What an incredible Hall of Famer Mark Martin is, and now singing the praises of Ross Chastain, who's out front once again here at Darlington.
Yeah, he's doing a nice job out front there. How about Denny Hamlin and Elliott Sadler both having penalties or had to come back on the previous caution.
Yep.
Uh-oh, got trouble.
Across, sliding sideways, can't see the number yet. The 19, and what a day it's been for the 19. Brandon Jones having to start in the back.
There you go.
He was able to, when he came to pit road, to serve his penalty of a pass-through penalty. He came to pit road, lost a lap. Well, when that caution came out on lap 3, it allowed him to get back onto the lead lap. So he never actually was down a lap once that caution came out. He battled up to the 19th position, and then this.
Yeah, not what they wanted to really be doing right now is being putting on another set of tires right before the end of this second stage. See what happens here. Yeah, it's just, you know, you're trying to power up there. That's right, kind of where those bumps are, where they put the patches, and you know, you're trying to power up and go around the corner, and sometimes it just steps out. He did the right thing. Once you get in this position, you just lock it down and try to keep it off the wall. Come get some tires.
I think he found the end of that wall, just slid past the end of it.
Throwback paint scheme for Brandon Jones. going back to the Darrell Waltrip Pepsi paint scheme with Hope for the Warriors on there, actually.
And I know at home you're probably asking yourself, why isn't everyone pitting? You're telling me how important tires are, but remember, they have a limited amount. They only have 4 sets to put on throughout the race, so these guys, they know how much racing's left. They're waiting, biding their time. Tomorrow in the Cup race, it'll be tires every caution.
Tires a premium, but there's still 69 laps to go in this race. They're going to need them for later.
Lee Diffie with you here in the Pacific Northwest, where IndyCar racing has returned to Portland International Raceway for the first time in 11 years. Championship contender Will Power is really pouring it on at the moment. He's been quick all weekend. So too has fellow championship contender Alexander Rossi. They're all chasing this man. Points leader Scott Dixon. You'll see the race tomorrow at 2:30 Eastern.
And Alexander Rossi has been hot as of late. He has really been reeling in Scott Dixon. That points lead is diminishing now for Dixon.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what type of course, road course, street course, whatever. Rossi is getting the job done.
Well, also getting the job done here is Ross Chastain, who is out front. Before we talk more about that, let's go to Dave.
Just released from the Infield Care Center, Christopher Bell. The racing out there pretty tight at Darlington. What happened to you in the 21?
Yeah, I just got loose off 4, and, you know, it's just pretty narrow over there, so I didn't quite get it corrected in time before we got on the straightaway.
And you knew there was something wrong with that car. They wanted you to try to stay out, but you felt that left front?
Yeah, well, after we hit there, it was smoking really bad, so we came back in and changed the left front, and then I had a little bit of smoke, and it kind of went away, but I think there I got to the bottom of the straightaway, and I had to turn right to get back up the track, and I think that cut, I believe it was the left front again, but you know, just bummed for my team because they did a great job preparing that Rheem Camry, and felt like we were in a great spot to compete for a win there, and unfortunately it just didn't work out.
Christopher's first time at Darlington is done, guys.
Yeah, it's been an eventful day, though, for Christopher Bell. He started off with what we thought was an amazing save. So the car kicks out a little bit. Well, then you duplicate that. Problem is, this time he's got the 21 inside him.
Well, I don't want him to take it too difficult. We'll add his name to the long list of people that have realized why Darlington gets all its nicknames. The Lady in Black, the track too tough to tame. That was it, and then that led to the rest of these issues.
Yeah, the hard into the wall, and pretty much ended the day for Christopher Bell. And this time, Ross Chastain, race leader, chose the inside line for the restart. And it's going to pay off. Here comes Brad Keselowski trying to follow him up to second.
Yeah, Brad tried to make a move there, but Ross is in the right spot once again. He got a great start, got a little push. Harvick spun his tires, lost the second spot to Keselowski.
Well, you mentioned the push. I thought it was the bottom lane, but it's starting to look to me like it matters who's behind you, perhaps more important than what lane you're in.
Well, that certainly helps, but you got to do your job and not spin the tires, or that push isn't doing you any good. We had that spin. I was starting to talk about Elliott Sadler and Denny Hamlin had moved their way up inside the top 10, rebounding from those penalties. So those guys have good cars and are going to be a factor in this race before it's over.
Continues to be a great story with Ross Chastain up front. Over 200 starts in NASCAR, and that has come at every different size and shape with the trucks, with the Cup Series, and now in the Xfinity Series up front is good battle here. Denny Hamlin, look how rough that racetrack is. We get on the helmet of Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, sorry, Rick, but he drove all the way off the what you consider the racetrack, the banking of it, and you can use that flat, and a lot of drivers, and Denny being one of those at the best of it, of putting his left side tires there, but to make that pass, he drove straight across that apron part.
Well, I love not just the view, but listen to what Denny Hamlin has to do with the throttle. Look at those green dots at the bottom of the screen. It shows you where he's part throttle. Listen to how he goes through 1 and 2. I mean, that's as more par throttle than any corner I can imagine in the entire circuit. And this end of the racetrack doesn't have any more grip.
So when your wife tells you to quit patting the gas and you're using up fuel in your passenger car, you say, look, Denny was doing it at Darlington.
Yeah, he was
moving forward.
Denny is your excuse. Battle for fourth here between Allgaier in the 7 and Tyler Redick in the 9 as Redick looks to the inside, but we've mentioned that outside line so important when you come off turn 2.
I've been impressed with Tyler Redick today. He seems to just continue to hang around the front. He hasn't really gone up and taken the lead yet, but he puts pressure on whoever seems to be in front of them. See if the 7 will finally give the position right here. Reddick's holding the inside. Nope, doesn't look like he has the momentum off the bottom of the racetrack.
As you said, he's done a nice job. Don't make a mistake at this point in time of trying to push the issue too far. You still got a lot of this race to go, and he's done a really good job. He's got a really good car, and he seems to really have a feel for what it takes to get around this racetrack. Give yourself a real chance in the last stage here.
Well, this is what happens, right? As he looks to be on the offense, now we're on board with the car right behind him, the 18 of Denny Hamlin. He has reeled these two cars in, and if someone knows how to make a pass at Darlington, it is Denny Hamlin. He's going to try to set him up right here. Let's see what he does. Let's see if he tries to set him up for that exit of turn 2.
He might get on the gas hard right there. Try to get to his inside, make him see if he'll lift, but Denny didn't get far enough up there to make this work. Redick he had enough respect. He knows who's behind him. He was if Denny was going to get there, he was going to let him go so they didn't lose too much time. But Tyler's doing a good job of staying up in that top side and going to make it difficult for Denny to make that pass.
And DJ, you see Denny kind of running that middle lane right now. I find that interesting because on the last run, all the spotters were talking about how Denny Hamlin was running the top of the racetrack in 1 and 2 and in 3 and 4. So how key is that, DJ, as a driver to vary up that line to be able to be where the other guys are not?
Well, Denny's so good that he's ready to go wherever somebody's not and trying to make this pass. And that's what we'll see Denny use when we get through this stage and he gets tires on. We'll see him back up against the wall. Just right now, he's trying to make this pass, and that's where Tyler Redick and Justin Allgaier are. So he's trying to move around, but he's capable of doing that.
As we enter the last lap of this second stage, Rick, I was worried about Denny Hamlin. He didn't look good in stage 1, but after that penalty, he's recovered. We'll have to see what it looks like in the final stage, but second stage, same look at the front of the field.
Interesting here, Brad Keselowski behind Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain, I mentioned, over 200 starts in NASCAR. A lot of those starts were for Brad Keselowski's truck team. He drove for Brad Keselowski, who right now he's going to beat to the finish line for the end of stage 2. Ross Chastain now has swept 1 and 2 in the Xfinity Series. 10 more points, very important for Ross Chastain. What will be most important is if he can stay out front and get locked in to the playoffs with a win here at this racetrack. Ross Chastain, we've talked about the opportunity many times. He is making the most of it with every single lap he turns at the Lady in Black. Xfinity Series Racing from Darlington. It's the Sport Clips Haircuts VFW 200. Ross Chastain has led 73 laps. Kevin Harvick was out front for 18 laps. As we're getting ready for pit stops prior to the start of stage number 3, the final stage, which will be just under 57 laps of racing that will remain. As the crews are now ready, there's an interesting helmet on pit road. There's another thing that has changed in the 7 decades of racing. Helmets required by the pit crews. And here they come to you, Dave.
Third place, Kevin Harvick said his car was getting worse and worse during that run. The condition he described will take, quote, a big swing from the crew. Wrench going in the window, air pressure adjustments, Sunoco fuel, and Goodyear tires, Kelly.
Brad Keselowski started this race a little bit tight, but is now happy with the 22 car after the last round of adjustments at the end of the last stage. He said no changes. He just wants a cold drink and a wet towel. 4 tires and fuel, Parker.
And what a day for Ross Chastain. Stage 1 winner, Stage 2 winner, led over 74 laps here. They're going to do 4 Goodyear tires and a track bar adjustment. You see it right there in the right rear. As well as Sunoco fuel, just needs a little bit more rear security on the exit of the corners. And let's see where if he can keep that lead off the pit road right here. He will.
And once again, the crew does their job and keeps the lead for Ross Chastain, Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, and Allgaier, all keeping their spots coming off the pit road. Let's see if we can chat with Chastain.
Hey, Ross, Dale Jarrett in the NBC booth. You have a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, Ross, I'm sure when this opportunity came along, there were a lot of thoughts going through your head. Could it have been as perfect as what this day has been so far for you?
Well, I never thought it would go like this. Just wanted to be able to do my job, plug myself into CGR and everybody at DC Solar, and just do my part. The days went incredible so far. Trying to learn from these guys around me for sure.
Well, it looks like you got the great car to get the job done. Have you seen any change in the racetrack to this point, Ross?
Just my confidence is going up. I struggled with that, running the high side. Obviously, the 42 car is known for that with Kyle. Trying to drive like Kyle. That's all I'm trying to do.
Well, you're doing a great job to this point. Keep it up, young man.
Thank you, sir.
And let's check in with our pit box, guys.
It is so cool to hear Ross Chastain being interviewed as the leader, isn't it?
Yeah, Ross has, done a great job. We all hoped he would. He started out, when we heard about him getting this opportunity, I think everybody was excited because he's done so well in the cars that he's drove. And so he's had an incredible day. I think he's surprised himself. Maybe not surprised the people that believe in him back home, his family and friends, but everybody here today is seeing some pretty incredible things from him. So let's take a look at how that day's been going. He started on the pole, a great lap in qualifying. He had to go through the rounds. He had to take care of the car and get through the rounds, and then had what it took to get on the pole there. And started the race off great with winning stage 1, taking care of the car, keeping it out of the fence. It takes the lead from Harvick on this restart, which was pretty incredible, having Harvick as the control car. I mean, Harvick's a Cup driver, established.
That's a big talk about a vote of confidence. That'll do it, right?
That's right. I mean, you want to beat all your competitors in the Xfinity Series, but he's beating the Cup guys as he wins stage 2 here.
He reminds me a little bit of you. Each time I hear his voice, my man is humble behind the wheel.
I want to say, the guy never did drive for Junior Motorsports, but he was a renter of mine, much like Ryan Blaney and Brad Keselowski.
Sure.
So if you want to get, get yourself an awesome career in NASCAR, come see me. I'll find something affordable. We got a lot of properties down in Mooresville, North Carolina.
You can rent a house, and then maybe
that's the key.
You'll get a chance like this to race here today.
Hey, Junior, do you remember on July 28th what you tweeted about Ross Chastain?
No, sir.
You said just about every race I see Ross Chastain run in Xfinity or Cup, he seems to get results or performance that exceeds expectations. Are you foreseeing something here that the rest of us didn't see?
Well, I think all of us felt that way, and a lot of people online, a lot of people on social media today are probably saying the same thing. I mean, we've seen this all year long with Ross, his ability to get more out of a car. He's done it in the Cup Series. For several 2 or 3 years, he's drove in cars, and he's raised the performance of that team every single time he gets in it. It's not a fluke. He's done some incredible things for Johnny Davis and those guys. So he's you want to see him do well. He's going to have more opportunities in his car. No matter how the rest of the race goes, he's going to get more opportunities like this. What will this lead to in the playoffs? He's going to be in the playoffs.
How crazy.
Is this going to lead to more opportunities in Chip's car to get him an opportunity to even race for the championship? I mean, that's not beyond the realm of imagination.
I just hope they bring cold watermelon by, man.
He's a watermelon farmer. He's been a part of a watermelon family for 8 generations and talks about how proud he is of his family and their farming background. Well, now he's showing how great of a race car driver he is. Bringing him back to the green flag. Will he get some help on this restart?
He's not going to get any help from the 22 or Brad Keselowski, that's for sure.
But if he stays on this quarter panel, he can keep the lead off of turn 2.
And he's going to do it. He does stay on the quarter panel, and he does get the lead. Hanging on to that top spot, Brad Keselowski now charging once again with Justin Allgaier in the 7, one of the hottest drivers in the Xfinity Series, right on his back bumper.
You gotta love Ross switching it up. He's had been the control car a number of times. He's restarted from the inside, from the outside, just knowing what to do, having never really been in this position in this series.
Here comes Harvick looking to the inside of Allgaier, trying to take that spot away, and he will make the pass.
Allgaier did not want to give it up, though. He raced him off from turn 2. And up in front of these two, we have the 22 inside the 42. It's going to be hard to complete this pass on corner exit, though. The 42 slides on the exit.
Yeah, Ross has to just stay in the moment here right now. Don't let that 22 car dictate how you drive around this racetrack. You'll find yourself making a mistake.
Well, and that's what, listen, the 22 of Keselowski, the 98 of Harvick, they know. Even if we don't have a better car, put the pressure on. See if we make the young man leading this race force himself into a mistake.
Yeah, let that 22 go down there. He's probably not going to get enough run off of that corner right there to get to you and be to your inside when you get to turn 1.
Steve, we mentioned earlier about saving tires and having that opportunity to have fresher tires. Well, this stage, they won't need to come to pit road because this is the last stage. They have enough fuel to make it all the way to the end. But if they do need to come to pit road, or if they do come to pit road because of a caution, those tires so important. Then strategy comes into play.
Well, yeah, and really the question is, if we see multiple yellows, when do you come get fresh tires? If we see a caution, anywhere in the middle of this stage, I would expect all the leaders would come. As you see, Keselowski, I think he was pushing him down the front stretch.
He knew he didn't have enough of a run to get to the inside that would make enough of a difference to get him to this point over here. He's just trying to get him loose to see if he can make a mistake, possibly get him into the wall. He knows that's the best car right there, and the driver's doing a great job.
Keselowski all over the back bumper. Now will he try the slide job? It's not going to be enough. Keselowski to the inside, but he can't get far enough in front of the 42 as Ross Chastain hanging on to that lead with a little over a car length in front of the 22. And coming into the mix, the 98 of Kevin Harvick. So now will Keselowski and Kevin Harvick start to fight for that position and allow Ross Chastain a little bit of breathing room?
I haven't seen Keselowski's car be good enough on a longer run to be able to hang here. He was trying to make this happen as quickly as he possibly could. Kelly?
And with everything that Brad Keselowski is trying to do to take the lead away from Ross Chastain, his spotter Joey Meyer continually saying, race the track, Brad, just race the track, keep the pressure on, and force him into a mistake. Remember, Brad Keselowski's never led a lap here in this series.
Brad Keselowski's never led a lap. He's never won a race here. Kevin Harvick has not won in the Xfinity Series at Darlington. And now the three of them nose to tail, waiting to see if Ross Chastain will make a mistake.
This is the move I was waiting to see, is if Brad followed him around the top of the racetrack, could he stay close enough to attack in 1 and 2? He knows he can't pass him around the bottom of 3 and 4. Much closer entering 1. Can he turn underneath the 42 and take away the bottom on exit?
No, he just wants to get him loose right here. That's what he's looking for, is to get him loose where he's got to get out of the gas. Then he might make this slide job you were talking about.
He did get him a little bit loose there, exiting 2. Will he clear him as he goes into 3?
Now that's
sure
a
enough,
slide job.
Slid right up in front of the 22. Now the crossover. Here comes the 42 to the inside. He takes the lead back.
How many races has he won? Because he's driving like a veteran.
That's the way you do both of those moves. That's incredible.
Well,
and look at this. Kevin Harvick makes the move on Brad Keselowski.
He shook one Cup champion, looks up, now he's got another. What do I got to do to get away from these guys?
What a veteran move, and he is a veteran. We're continuing to talk about this opportunity. Ross Chastain is a veteran, over 200 starts in NASCAR, but he's never been in this quality of equipment. And so that's why we continue to talk about this opportunity, and man, is he taking advantage of it.
And Rick, here's a big thing that's different between an underfunded team and a team like Chip Ganassi. The amount of information you have at your disposal as a driver. And Ross told me coming in this race, he is never prepared like he did for this opportunity. Going to this simulator, working the team, the reports they handed him, all the info that he had to sift through to be ready for this race, and it's really paying off right here.
I think, you know, I talked about, could these guys make Ross work too hard being up there trying to keep the lead and wear his tires out? I think that he's making Harvick and Brad Keselowski work harder than they want to with their tires.
Great racing continuing here at Darlington. You're not going to miss anything. We do have to take a little bit of a break, but we're going to stay NASCAR nonstop as Harvick looks to the inside once again, but not enough momentum to clear the 42. So Ross Chastain stays out front, but again, you won't miss anything. We go side by side in NASCAR nonstop. you saw the battle for the lead heated up to the point where they were side by side trying to come out of turn 2, and contact with the wall for Ross Chastain, spin for Kevin Harvick, and the caution has come out here at Darlington.
We've seen this before, haven't we?
Yep.
Dale? 2 cars just cannot fit on the exit of turn 2. Then there was a lap car to make it 3 wide, and you can see the results. Not enough real estate for everyone.
And Steve Ross came on the radio and said he wrecked us, and they all agreed.
Take another look at what happened.
We're all started right here, getting into turn 1. That lap car of the 40 is definitely going to hold up the 42. Harvick knows it. He tries to get through there. The 42 squeezes down. Harvick does not get out of the gas. He slides up. They both run out of real estate. I'm not sure how hard the 98 was into the 42 before the 42 hit the outside wall.
Yeah, you can see, and Keselowski took advantage of that. He'll be the leader of the race, but watch right here. You get...
And Kevin Harvick, we've seen this before out of Kevin Harvick. He's actually stopped
We are sitting in the 42 box
pit
right
stall.
Well, because I think Kevin Harvick is of the opinion, you heard Parker's report that Ross Chastain felt like Harvick wrecked him. I think Harvick feels like he was underneath Chastain, and Chastain had room to go up the racetrack.
No, you can't give the man the position. Yeah, if you're going to take the opportunity to go on the inside, you got to expect that that driver that you're trying to pass might get down on your quarter panel. Yep, but doing that, you're probably going to put both of you in a bad position, but you can't assume that he's just going to give up in that position.
So a lot of damage to the right side of the 42 of Ross Chastain. He got into the wall pretty hard in 2.
Yeah.
And then came down the racetrack, caught the back end of the 98, and Harvick went around.
So I think we got another look right here as you see Harvick's in the garage area. So this is a pretty good shot to show how much room they have.
Now, Ross couldn't have been any higher than what he was.
And actually, he was so high that he got into the wall coming off of 2.
Yeah, so.
You see how loose the 98 is. He's coming up the racetrack at that point.
Yeah, Ross has got his right sides out in the gray, which you don't want to have happen. I think that was probably a little intentional, but not saying that there's anything wrong with that.
Oh, not at all. So this is going to be the shot right here. Kevin Harvick goes underneath the 42 at Chastain. Listen to the throttle.
Still there, tight, tight door. Still there, tight, tight, real tight, real tight. When he gives someone the big run, inside, inside, inside.
He's out of the gas, but he put himself there.
Well, real tight. You heard real tight. Well, yeah, real tight. There was no room.
Yeah, he fully expected, I think, for the 42 to just back off and give him that spot. Dave?
Tyler Reddick's going to get a chassis adjustment for fresh Goodyear tires and a fill of Sunoco fuel. Pretty good race car, just need a little bit more for the driver.
Brett Keselowski had just a little bit of contact with the wall, but really happy with that 22 car. No changes, just 4 Goodyear tires and fuel, Parker.
And Ross Chastain, you see him in here involved in that incident there with Kevin Harvick. Mike Shiplett, the crew chief, was instructing the team just to pull out that right front fender. That's the only thing they felt like they needed to do. They're going to evaluate the damage a little bit more here.
Don't leave. Get a hammer, pull that spoiler back.
And now you see them working on that rear as well.
Well, you hear it, get that spoiler. We talked about it. He's moving that right rear spoiler back. There was some heavy contact. Now he just needs to go out there, somehow file away the disappointment, put together the rest of the race. You see Kevin Harvick, his opinion, stops in the 42 pit box.
We're going to go NASCAR nonstop. A lot of action taking place here in the final stage from Xfinity Series Racing from Darlington Raceway. Again, Ross Chastain currently scored 23rd. The 7, Justin Allgaier, left his pit box with equipment, and so he'll suffer that penalty. Let's go to our pit box and check in with Junior and Rutt.
Rick, I know you've wondered what it's like to just hang out and watch a race with Dale Jr. I just want to go on the record and say it's everything that I dreamed it would be. Because when the 48 got into it with Harvick, my man's hitting me like, are you seeing this? What happened there in your mind?
Well, I mean, you know, it's a tough situation because Ross, we're going to take a look at it here. Ross is trying to defend his position, trying to stay on the outside because he feels like that if he can stay on the outside on the exit of his corner, he's going to beat Harvick. And Harvick, he's so close to Harvick, though, that Harvick has no side force, and Harvick is extremely loose. I mean, they're already kind of making contact there, and Harvick's right next to the apron. So tough deal for both drivers. Chastain, I'm worried about Chastain's rear end because he hit the wall pretty hard. It looks like it's moved over a little bit, so I don't think he's going to be very competitive going forward. Rolling up to the restart here. And I think they gave this race to Keselowski, but Denny might be in there too, so we'll see.
Cole Custer in the 00 is running second now behind Brad Keselowski. Mentioned the could we be giving this race to Hamlin talk. He's currently 4th, fighting for the 3rd position. Trying to take it away from Tyler Redick on the inside. Hamlin in the 18, Redick in the 9.
You mentioned at the beginning of the day how you were going to watch the 20 of Christopher Bell. And I mentioned the 7 because this is that high-wear racetrack, a lot like Miami.
Yeah.
Well, let's not forget who won at Miami. Yep. Cole Custer, his last win, his only win in the Xfinity level was at that Miami Speedway. As you see the 42, Dale mentioned the rear end housing looked like it was bent. I think that smoke is because the rear suspension's moving around. That's going to shorten their day. So now the question is who can go and get the race win with 30 to go.
Denny Hamlin trying to get by Tyler Redick through 3 and 4. Gets to the inside, but again, that outside line is the preferred line through 1 and 2.
Yeah, Denny's going to take that spot. He's going to come. He's going to get to Brad Keselowski.
Hamlin's so good at this racetrack.
Woo. Man, he did a great job. That's not easy what he just did there because he was forced up there, tried to get the gas so soon that it got him up the racetrack even more, and he was able to hold on to it off of turn 2.
Ross Chastain back on pit road, coming to the attention of the crew there. And some more contact. Saw a little bit of tire rub there.
Wow.
Elliott Sadler in the 1.
Yeah.
That was between teammates, I believe.
Yeah.
Between Elliott Sadler and Tyler Redick in the 9.
Dale Jr. going to be getting a radio here in a minute and hollering at his voice.
And as they work on cutting away part of that body from the 42, we stay with the action on the track. Keselowski has about a 0.3 of a second lead over Cole Custer. Denny Hamlin is coming. And out of the car already is the driver of the 98, Kevin Harvick. Dave Burns is in.
So, Kevin, describe what you saw as your opportunity there with the lap car and then how much you tried to stay off of the 42.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to stay as low as I could, and he just rode on my door. That's just a really inexperienced racer and a really bad move there. And got the air on, got on beside me and just kept going up the racetrack. I couldn't do anything with the wheels. So got a really inexperienced guy in a really fast car that made a really bad move and then wrecked me, down the back straightaway, hooked me to the right. So just probably the reason that he'll never get to drive many of them again.
Yep, shortened day for Kevin Harvick.
And frustration out of Kevin Harvick. Once again, we mentioned at the beginning of the show, he's never won here in the Xfinity Series. So Kevin Harvick was looking for a win, and his day shortened as well.
Well, I'm just going to say that, that's driver's prerogative, yes. And Ross had to know what Kevin's talking about there, putting both of them in that position. But that's the other driver's prerogative to do that. And he has 2 pedals in his car, too. He can back out of the gas and get on the brake and realize that he didn't make that pass where he thought he was going to and not put them both in that situation either. So I look at it as a racing incident. Was it some inexperience that took over there from Ross's side? Probably so. But he had a fast race car and hadn't been in that position and can't blame him for trying.
We mentioned earlier Tyler Redick and Elliott Sadler. There was that contact.
I mean, Elliott Sadler was a groove and a half off the wall, thought he was fine. I don't think Tyler Redick took that left on purpose.
No.
I think he was trying to save his race car off the turn 4, but you just see how you would think that's the straightaway, right? I mean, you're out of the corner. It is not that simple, Rick. That 9 was still sliding. The car finally hooked up and it took a left right into the right side of the one of Elliott Sadler.
And so Sadler is currently running 5th. Tyler Redick is 4th. Still up front, Keselowski, Cole Custer, Denny Hamlin. They're the top 3. There's the gap between 1 and 2. Brad Keselowski in the 22 out front has about a 4/10 of a second lead as we go NASCAR nonstop. Less than 23 laps to go. No change up front. Brad Keselowski still has the lead. Cole Custer still running a little bit further back than he was before, almost a second now. And then there's this race. Denny Hamlin and Tyler Redick. Those two have continued to battle for that 3rd spot. Hamlin has it. Redick has closed the gap. Redick closes the gap, and Hamlin looks to have a little bit of a struggling race car. Let's find out a little bit more. We go to Marty.
Yeah, you guys mentioned it. Denny Hamlin back in the game, Rick, and I think it deserves repeating. He has 8 straight Darlington Xfinity Series races where he hasn't finished worse than 2nd. Right now in 3rd, and you mentioned that struggling race car, 2 free on entry, and it's really causing him problems, EJ. He can't put down consistent laps. That's been the biggest issue. You'll see him be fastest sometimes. You'll see him be 10th fastest on the lap, but Denny Hamlin right now with a car that's 2 free on entry.
Yeah, that makes it really difficult to be as consistent. That's why he's running up against the wall around here, all the way around, not even trying to go anywhere else. Not even sure if he could run down Custer and Keselowski, that with a loose race car like that he could actually go up and make the pass on those guys. But he's doing a masterful job. I mean, this is how you do it if you've got a race car that's not handling well, but that's not getting him closer to the lead.
Let's take a look at today's Toyota driver update. And with that, Denny Hamlin started 5th today. He's run this high as far as third. Has been all the way back to 24th, though, also for Denny Hamlin.
DJ, how about this groove that the 18 of Denny Hamlin's running off turn 2? Look how high he exits.
Yeah.
He's above those patches.
Yeah. And his car is loose. You can't really turn the car down the way that he wants to, so he's just trying to keep his momentum off of there as long as he can. That's what makes Denny so good here, is whenever something's not working the way that he likes to be able to drive his race car, he's able to adapt and do something totally different, and he's actually cutting into this lead.
He's about a second behind Cole Custer right now. Brad Keselowski's got a second and a half on Denny Hamlin. But now they're getting into that lap traffic, and now it becomes a timing issue when you get to the car in front of you and how you get by them.
Well, the timing right there is that Brad Keselowski gave up about 0.3 of a second to Denny Hamlin in one lap.
Yeah, and if we watch Brad, especially the entry to 3, he drives it a little straighter in, lets it go up the racetrack a little bit, and then goes around the wall, where Denny is going in right against the wall because of that loose condition that he's got. So he's actually not abusing his tires as much, even with this loose condition that he has with his car.
And earlier we mentioned the 2 Cup Series champions who have never won in the Xfinity Series at Darlington. One of them's out now, and Kevin Harvick, he is out of the race. The other is Brad Keselowski, who's currently leading. Well, this is one of 5 racetracks that he has not been able to find victory lane, and today he is 11 laps away from maybe his first win at Darlington.
And guys, don't sleep on Cole Custer there in second. Just a moment ago, he was almost a second behind Keselowski. Then he gained through traffic all the way down to about a half second. And coming in this race, Cole told me his weakness was the long run. And he and his team worked on being better on the long run in practice. And on the radio so far throughout this run, they've told him, just take care of those tires. Take care of those tires and beat him at the end of this run. Let's see if he maybe can muster something up and try and go beat that Cup Series champion.
And one thing that's interesting about Brad Keselowski, who's running up front, and we talk so much about the situation with Ross Chastain and getting an opportunity. Well, Brad Keselowski got an opportunity in the Truck Series. Ted Musgrave, who had been driving in the Truck Series, had a suspension.
The wall right
and we
there,
see
Rick.
Denny did get into the wall.
Yeah, he hit the wall pretty hard. I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but he hit the wall hard enough that smoke off the right side tires, and Tyler Reddick easily passed. You mentioned how high he was running, DJ. Well, even an experienced guy with so much success at Darlington like Denny Hamlin can get over the limit. And here it is, the exit of the corner. He's just coming off the wall at that point. It's back about the 2/3 mark. He kind of got pulled up into the wall. Now it's back into that rhythm.
Yeah, being the only car up there that much, those marbles get right up against the wall, and if you miss it just by a few inches being that high, that's exactly what can happen.
Redick able to take advantage of that move, though. Dave, he's moved up to 3rd.
Rick, he was ready to pounce. He radioed just a few laps before, my car is back to 100%. What did he mean? That long 50 or so lap run that took the drivers to the end of stage 2, he had a loose wheel. He fought through it. He felt it the whole run. When they got it off the car, sure enough, it was loose. So they put 4 fresh Goodyears, good wheels, got them all tight, and Redick was ready to take 3rd when it was offered.
Yeah, that one mistake by Denny Hamlin gives Redick the opportunity to move up into the 3rd spot, but now he's still also 1.7 seconds behind Keselowski as the laps continue to wind down. Just 7 to go for Keselowski as Custer chasing after. He's a second back, and Redick running 1.8 seconds back.
Now, Redick was wheeling it off of turn 2 there. He's trying to get everything that he can. That's an impressive run for him today. We've seen him struggle some recently with their finishes and things, but doing an outstanding job here today.
And while Keselowski has that 0.8 of a second lead, look at the battle for 10th.
Well, we mentioned the early issues with Cindric in the 60. The 5 is trying to recover. He's doing a nice job. Currently running at the 10th position, just in front of these 2 cars, the 21 and the 19. That's what Michael Annett needs to do, capitalize, gain those points when they're available.
Got to be there and take advantage of it at a tough place. You see Brandon Jones there. He's made his way back up into that 12th spot from everything that he's had happen today, between inspection and having to come to pit road immediately once the green flag was put out. Then he spun off a turn 2, and now trying to battle back to see if he can find a top 10 out of this.
On the left side of your screen, Tyler Redick, he is putting some great laps together, 3 or 4 tenths of a second faster than Keselowski. I'm just not sure he's going to have enough time with 5 to go, but Keselowski does have some traffic in front of him, a couple lap cars. You mentioned that timing, Rick. What will the timing be? Will Keselowski catch them where he needs, or will it hinder his approach?
And again, the gap between Keselowski and Cole Custer, who's running second. Again, we talk about Redick, who's in third, but Keselowski leading Cole Custer by about 8 tenths of a second. I'd mentioned the opportunity. Well, Brad Keselowski was in the truck. He was able to put together a great performance. He got spun late in the race, didn't win the race, but a guy by the name of Dale Earnhardt Jr. saw the performance out of Brad Keselowski and said, you know what, this kid's pretty good. I'm going to give him an opportunity. He put him in an Xfinity Series car, and well, they won the championship in 2010. So, and now he's gone on to win a Cup Series championship as well. These opportunities are so important for drivers, young drivers, to get an opportunity in good equipment to go out and show exactly how good they can be. Under 3 laps to go, Brad Keselowski, nothing to prove here at Darlington today. As I mentioned, he's already been an Xfinity Series champion. He's been a Cup Series champion. But the one thing that he has not done in his career is won at this racetrack. And he's 2 laps away from checking that box on his career.
Yeah, and as a driver, you really appreciate certain places that you know you make a real difference as a driver inside the race car. Yeah, you still got to have a good car, but you know that he's put in a good body of work today to make all of this happen.
Again, coming up to the lap traffic, he'll try to negotiate around that one more time as he will exit turn 4. The white flag will come out. 1 lap to go. Presented by Credit One Bank. Brad Keselowski may have had the best car of the day. We don't know, because a lot of the time he was chasing after Ross Chastain as well as Kevin Harvick. Well, when the opportunity presented itself, when Ross Chastain and Kevin Harvick got into each other, Brad Keselowski jumped on that opportunity, and now he has an opportunity to win at one of the biggest stages in racing. He will win at Darlington. Brad Keselowski.
Hell of a job, buddy. That was incredible. Really, really nice work. No burnouts, please. No burnouts. Happy?
Brad Keselowski with the win. Cole Custer hangs on for second. Tyler Redick is third. Denny Hamlin, a little bit outside of the normal finishing position for Hamlin at this racetrack. He finishes 4th. Elliott Sadler, a top 5 finish today.
Brad's probably fine with no burnouts because he's been spinning the tires all day trying to go around this place.
Yeah,
he just did it better than everybody else.
He did, and I'm sure that has to do with that sealed engine program. Only a 200-mile race. They're probably going to run this engine somewhere else. Don't want them to hurt it with a burnout. And then the classic Brad Keselowski American flag in the driver's window.
Something Brad has done after every win. The crew gives him a American flag, and he will celebrate with that flag. He is so appreciative and supportive of the veterans of the United States, and he shows that appreciation with every win, carrying the men and women of the armed services with him. He'll go grab the checkered flag. As you saw there, the 39th in the Xfinity Series for Brad Keselowski. Alan Kulwicki was one of the first to do what Brad is doing right now, a reverse victory lap. They called it the Polish victory lap.
That was out in Phoenix for the first time for his win.
Closer to the grandstands, the driver able to look out at the fans. And once again, he'll spin it around. Probably pretty easy with all of the the wear on the tires. and a welcome celebration for Brad at this track. He'll make his way back to the finish line and climb out of that race car so that he can chat with our Rutledge Wood. He'll have a little fun doing the burnout around Rutledge. How'd that feel, Rut?
Oh, Rick, that felt good. Every time I'm lucky enough to do this interview and Brad sees me, he usually gives me a little donut. That's always nice.
And again, from one of the shortest races in the Xfinity Series, he'll have to go for one of the longest races in the Cup Series tomorrow. And you hear the crowd reacting as Brad's trying to climb out of the 22.
Brad Keselowski. Wow, man, what a race. You guys were digging hard all day long, put on a great show for these fans. And I think that's the hardest I've ever seen you try to not do a burnout. You still had to give them a little something there, it looked like.
That wasn't a burnout, that was just parking to see you, Rutledge.
Man, you seem to be in that right place at the right time. You were always top 5 there. But
here, do I look like Kurt?
Yeah, man, you look great. Kurt can't even tell. It was perfect. Man, you shot around those two when they got into each other and just never looked back.
Yeah, we had a really great snap-on Ford Mustang, Rutledge, and I could keep up with Ross, but I couldn't pass him. He was so fast, and tried to make the move to get by him, and I just brushed the wall, and him and Kevin got back by me, and then they had their issue off with 2, and we were just so strong we were able to just pounce on it and take advantage of the opportunity, and that's a testament to this team. I've drove 5 races this year. We won 3 of them. That's pretty darn good, and I'm really proud of that.
You guys make some noise for Brad Keselowski's first win here at Darlington.
I think it might have surprised him. He said, oh yeah, that's right. This is my first win here at Darlington. And the crowd appreciating the performance he was able to put on today. The lady in black. Now it's finally been conquered by Brad.
Yeah, first of all, very close to the race with those guys and restart with them and just race it, man. Like Saturday night Racetrack stuff, it's fun. Now we'll have to watch the film off together. You know, it's so great. And everybody keeps each other, and everybody's giving us opportunity. We need to help somebody in it. When I grew up, we got position order, so still proud of everybody. They helped me up to be so fast and let me do my job. And there's so many people who talk those guys and have all these race cars so fast. Just can't take them out. There are a couple of times you've been off two monster energy NASCAR stuff in your team. What is that thing about where you feel like you are in your race career? Every time. That's what I had. I think it's probably hard on himself. I feel he did. I feel confident he's not wrong when we did. Watch that thing. This is one of the spot here.
And a big night continuing. Notre Dame pregame. That's going to be on NBC SID. Make sure to tune in at 7 o'clock. And then right here on NBC at 7:30, Michigan taking on Notre Dame. 2 top 15 programs and perennial powerhouses will face off tonight. Again, that kickoff 7:30 on NBC. He's figured out how to get to victory lane. It didn't take him long. Brad Keselowski. Now this is coveted territory right here. The names along the walls at Darlington are of Hall of Famers. The greats that have won at this racetrack, and now Brad Keselowski has also been able to get to victory lane at Darlington. Let's go to Kelly.
And Rick, it's about to get sticky down here. The crew's got their Miller Lights in hand. They've been shaken, but I don't think Brad Keselowski's gonna mind one single bit. Not only had he never won here, had never led a lap until today. Brad, your first win here at Darlington. What does it mean to check this one off the list?
Yeah, it's entering today with 2 tracks I never won at on the NASCAR circuit and here in Sonoma, so I really wanted to run this race for that reason, and I just haven't ran all that great here on the Cup level, and I'm trying to get better, and this is such a huge confidence booster, Kelly, and great car. Brian Wilson, this team, we've had a lot of fun together. Ran 4 races together today, and one with the other car, and these have been world-class cars in a terrific season. I'm so proud to be a part of it with Ford and Snap-on, and this whole team that makes it possible. All these guys are trying their best to climb the ladder, and trying my best to help them along the way, and it's good to see them have success.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, Kelly.
Rick. Good.
Thanks, Kelly. Let's take a look at the playoff leaderboard. We mentioned coming into this race, there were 3 races to go before the playoffs. Now just 2 remain, and 3 drivers clinched on at least points. So the 19, the 2, and the 11 will now be locked in. Brandon Jones, Matt Tiff, and Ryan Truex locked themselves into the playoff with their performances today. Only 12 make it into the playoffs for a shot at the championship. And let's go to Marty.
Well, it shows second place for Cole Custer, and for a while you kind of fell back there, and then you started gaining on Brad Keselowski. Did you save up some tires maybe there for the last few laps?
Yeah, I was trying to save a little bit, just, so I'd had something at the end. I would try to stay in the rubber to save my tires, but we just had a great Haas Automation Mustang. I can't thank everybody at the shop enough. Everybody at Ford Performance, they've given us great tools all year, so I'm looking forward to the rest of the year. I think second place is a good momentum going in the rest.
I know you got out of the car, you came straight to the wall to sit down. How tough was it inside the car today for you guys?
It wasn't horrible. It was tough for sure, but I mean, I've had worse, so it was just trying to get yourself cooled down, but we'll move on to the next one.
Other than second place, the best news, you get to cut the hair now, right?
Exactly.
He is headed to the garage area to get that haircut. He said he wanted in the pre-race show.
Ross Chastain ends up 25th after winning both stages. Ross, what happened there down in turn 2 with Kevin Harvick from your point of view?
I just can't thank everybody at CGR enough. Honestly, Jeff Karpoff giving me this opportunity is once in a lifetime, man. And I'm trying to race for these guys, and felt like I was holding my own, learned a lot on the restarts with them, and was really happy to be out there racing with them up until that point. So DC Solar Chevy was fast, man. Jeez, it's so crazy how fun that was to drive, try to run the wall. I've been working with Josh Wise and everybody at CGR, Shiplet. They've been on me, just drive the car, do what I know how to do, and still have a long way to go, but just thankful for the opportunity.
Do you feel like you squeezed Kevin Harvick there off too?
Man, I'm just trying to race, and I have to see the film. If I made a mistake, it's on me. Being the leader there, I felt like, I'm just trying to race, man, and just we've given each other room all day. So, it's just it's unfortunate because I really wanted to make DC Solar proud and Jeff and Paulette and everybody at CGR. Man, they gave me this opportunity, and I'm just really thankful for that.
Obviously, a disappointing day, end of the day for Ross Chastain.
Well, tomorrow on NBCSN, NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series racing right here at Darlington. It's the Southern 500, and race coverage starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. Keselowski will be in that race, as well as Harvick, who we saw running very strong until he got into it with Ross Chastain.
And I expect more of the same. We saw that action between Ross Chastain and Kevin Harvick. I don't expect that to go away at all tomorrow with all the heavy hitters and all the guys that are looking for momentum heading into the playoffs, guys trying to keep other cars out of the playoffs. I mean, the field is deeper when you head to Sundays. The talent level is obviously deeper. It is the major leagues. It's the #1 series. And I can tell you, they don't give. They don't even give as much as these cars do. So it's going to be interesting to see 500 miles around this place.
How was your perspective down there, Junior?
Well, it was hot, uncomfortable, so I got to hand it to these crew chiefs and these crew guys down here in this heat. The spotters up on top of the building up there, man. It's unbearable, not very comfortable, and I know the drivers had the worst part of it. It'll be interesting to see how these guys handle that tomorrow. It's going to start right around now. It's about 6 o'clock, and the race coverage starts around 6 tomorrow, and it's still pretty miserable. So a lot of different lines that guys are running out there, and we saw a little bit of that in this short little race. we'll see a lot more of it tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. Guys really can go around this track so many different ways. It looks like it's one groove, but there's several ways to attack it.
Let's take a look at the playoff standings right now for the Monster Energy Cup Series. Again, Southern 500 coming up tomorrow. And this and Indianapolis, the only 2 races to go before the playoffs start.
Yeah, and DJ, I don't expect to see a lot of movement here. I mean, without a doubt, we could have a winner, maybe someone like Ryan Newman. He's looked really good this weekend. Could he go and win? I'm not sure, but I think it would take a win. I don't think that anybody in only 2 weeks is going to be able to make up enough points to move into the playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to take somebody coming up with something we haven't seen from them up to this point. Think they're going to do it at Darlington? Boy, that's a tall order that you're going to come here and do something you haven't done. But that's what they come for, is that opportunity, that battle, putting themselves in that position somewhere near the end of 500 miles tomorrow night and see if they can find a way into the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's the key. 500 miles at Darlington is a long, long race, and you've got to race right on that edge for the entire race. And we saw what tempers do to drivers when you take away maybe that opportunity.
Well, it's exhausting for everyone, but it starts with the driver, DJ. You just have to remain focused. There's so many places to make a simple mistake and end your day.
Yeah, and that move that we saw where the Kevin Harvick and Ross Chastain were battling, that'll be after the 400-mile mark, you would have to think, tomorrow night, if you can find yourself in that position battling hard.
Yeah, and of course it's going to be heat, but it's under the lights, so that's the great thing about this race. Obviously, a historic racetrack, 7 decades of racing have been run here, so we're looking forward to another great race in the Southern 500 going to come up tomorrow night. Again, coming up tonight on NBC, it'll be local news, except on the West Coast for the nightly news at 7:30. Remember, Michigan, Notre Dame, 2 powerhouses going up against each other. You can join us on NBCSN tomorrow night for Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Darlington. That race coverage begins at 6 p.m. Eastern. Maybe someone will get their first win at Darlington Raceway like Brad Keselowski was able to do today in the Xfinity Series.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.